Window blocking. No.
There you go. Bring it back, and then I'll give this to the assessor when we're done. She can add it for tally. What are we at, 60? 66%. Okay.
Let's take advantage of that.
You hear that? We're up to 66%.
Not bad. That's pretty good. All right, it's 9 o'clock, let's start. Start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone. Mr. Becker is out on a project today at PSC, so I'm in charge to run the meeting, Jeff Martin. Okay, first thing on the agenda is approve the minutes from the last meeting. You've had a chance to review, and have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by, who was it, John? Seconded by
Second?
Dan Gibbons. Any conversation? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next agenda item is the Bridgeport Sewer Extension number 1 update and set public hearing. This is a resolution that we've been working on for quite a while. We've had a lot of public hearings and with some very good results. So we're here today to get ready to set the public hearing. John, what do we need to do?
So final map plan report's been prepared, and the next step, and we've already drafted the public hearing resolution. If you adopt this resolution, you're not approving anything yet. You're setting it up for public hearing for August 3rd, which is our first meeting in August at 6 p.m. And also in the resolution, you are saying that the town board is a lead agency for purposes of the environmental review. So that's just the beginning of that environmental review.
Okay.
Our office will handle making, and we'll coordinate with the town clerk's office, but we'll handle making, sending it to the paper and getting it published in the paper in the window of 10 to 20 days prior to the meeting. So we'll take care of that. We've already diaried it. And then I think Alex can answer any technical questions you have on the extension.
Okay. Board members, any questions for anyone before we vote on this resolution?
I have a question. Are we gonna have 2 town board public meetings?
This will be scheduled for a public hearing
Yeah.
on August 3rd. What you decide to do on August 3rd, whether to extend it or close it and adopt it or not adopt it, that's the board decision.
Sometimes we have 2 of them simply because we have one at a night meeting and then we have the other one in the morning meeting, giving everybody an opportunity.
So there's been, I don't know how many public information meetings there have been on this one. I didn't go to any of those.
A lot.
Has there been a couple?
Yeah,
A ton of
So it's
meetings.
up to the board, whatever you want, John.
Yeah. Any other questions, Alex? Any comments? We good?
No, I think, as you mentioned, Jeff, everything went well with all our public information meetings. We had 6 total. We had 4 up at Chapman Park on the lake and 2 via Zoom. We answered questions that any residents had, and generally everyone was in favor to move forward with the project to get things working up there.
Well, if, not hearing any other discussion, then would entertain a motion to adopt the public hearing for August 3rd.
So
It's moved by John Rashevich, second
second.
by Dan Gibbons. Any further discussion? All in favor then of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Whitelaw Water update. This one again has been worked on for quite a while. John, do you have any?
Update is Art brought in another signature today, so, you estimated, Art, we're north of 60%, 66%. And again, we've done a similar thing, which is we prepared a public hearing resolution in order, and that also includes the initiation of the secret process where the town board would be the lead agency. B&L's identified all of the involved and interested agencies that would receive a copy of this notice of public hearing. They prepared a full EAF, which we would review at the next meeting. It's all the same stuff, but just with a different location.
Okay. Questions, concerns on this resolution? All right, can I have a motion then to approve the August 3rd public hearing for the Whitelaw Water District? Aye. Motion by Dave Montroy, second.
Second.
By John Brushevich. Any concerns, questions, comments? All in favor then of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. All right, the next agenda item is the Parks Department employees, the new hires. There's an entire list. Samantha Adams at 16, Shayna Baker at 13.20, Delaney Dawkins at 14.50, Royal Dawkins at $14, Jesse, a lot of them, DeMantonin at 13.20, Cyrus Dwyer at 14, Maddie Dezek at 13.20, Juliana Farr at 16, Seamus Gardner at 13.20, Abigail Hoover at 14, Sydney Martin at 13.20, Robert Pierce at 13.20. Lucas Reynolds at 14, William Simmons at 14, Brooke Solar at 14, Anna Spencer at 14.50, Emma Stanek at 14.50, Hannah Stiles at 13.20, Brady Stump at 14.50, Anna Wagner at 13.20, Jacob Wagner at 13.20, Julia Wicks at 13.20, and Carly Wilhelm at 13.20. And just so you know, a lot of these, the rates are different because of new people are returning, so there is a differential there. Questions or concerns on the hires for the Parks Department?
I'll make a comment. My comment is, we're glad to have all the people that are on this list, number one, and welcome them. And second of all, I'd like to give kudos to Lori and her staff for the time it takes to put together this type of team to run through the multiple Parks and Recreation programs that we have.
Yeah, and it's a time where it's tough to hire people. It's nice to see where we have the bodies to run these programs. That's good. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor then of these approving these new hires? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. We don't have any budget modifications or any firefighter applications, so is there new business that would like to be entertained here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, can I hear before you start, can I give you your name and address, sir?
Yes, my name is Michael Robbins. With me is my wife Christine Robbins. We own 2 properties in the town of Sullivan. This one's in regards to 187 Andrews Road property.
187, what is it?
Andrews Shore.
Andrew Shore, okay. What can we help you with today, Mr. Robbins?
May I approach?
Yep.
You always wanted to say that, right?
This isn't a court, you know.
Oh, with COVID. This is a copy of the current survey.
Okay.
Excuse me. Our lots are the first 2 in bold. The 50 feet right away from the road moved over onto our back lot off the right of way.
Okay, is this something that happened yesterday? I mean, when did this happen?
Well, the survey we just had done picked up last night.
Okay.
The property's been in Christine's family for over 80 years. But the area of concern, well, there's multiple areas of concern. The road is on, well, our property, liability issues.
Yeah, I think we need to keep one of those.
Here.
I'll give this to Mr. Becker. Okay.
So the liability issues with the road on there, the offsets now, if you go off from the current right of way,
Okay.
then the offsets to the center of the road where it moved to, the back lot almost becomes unusable. The wetlands behind it are a 40-foot offset. So we were hoping to build something back there eventually, but that puts a great deal of handicap on it. And the front lot as well, with the offsets current from where the right of way should be, originally posted. Now it's almost over 100 feet wide as the road sits.
Okay. Our highway superintendent happens to be here. I mean, he's the first he's seeing it, I'm sure, so.
Correct.
Andy, what would be our next steps?
Well, I guess what is your concern?
Well, it's 2 areas of concern. I just went over the liability, because the road is now on private property.
Well, the road itself, I'm the town attorney, the road itself that's been used, it sounds like it's been used in this fashion for who knows how long. it's really, by law, it's a highway by use, meaning that portion of the road that the town has been using, the public has been using by operation of law, is a town road in that sense. So that is that issue. As far as you can talk to your own attorney, but as far as liability goes, it wouldn't be any different than the liability anybody else would have throughout the town if a road is by highway by use, goes through a portion of what they would consider to be their property. But as far as the town road goes, this is the town's road to maintain and take care of in the discretion of the highway superintendent. I think with everything that happens, if somebody were to get in an accident for some reason, typically, and I can't give you legal advice, typically everybody involved gets served with a summons and complaint if there were an accident, but the town would get served, the property owner ultimately would get served. And if you have homeowner's insurance, typically the homeowner's insurance picks up the defense for the property owner. I can't speak to you, I've not seen your homeowner's insurance, I don't know how it reads, but in most cases, there's a defense there. And then the other part of it is there has to be negligence on behalf of somebody and how they've maintained the road or what they've done to it. So example I would use, if you went out there, and you shouldn't do this obviously, you went out there and put a speed bump in it and somebody drove over it and crashed into a tree, there could be some liability to a person that might do that. Town would not authorize a speed bump on a road area like this unless we were to install it ourselves. So talk to your own attorney, but the liability issue to me would not be something I would be concerned about on behalf of the town. You'd have to talk to your own attorney, but it certainly looks like it's been there for a long time, and I don't know how long, but anybody here in the room might know how long that road's been there. I'm guessing decades maybe.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't right away where it was supposed to be. Most likely got moved over with turning of snow plows vehicles and just kept following.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, there's still losing property on this by the road moving off the right of way. So all of our offsets are gonna be off from the center of the road and any future property development. And the same thing, in the middle of the current right of way, it's gonna go this way.
Mm-hmm.
So figure we just lost over 100 feet of usable property on some of the highest tax property in the town. I mean, if I built, just put in perspective, 50 feet, these building lots are 50 feet, all our neighbors, and I went 80% onto the next building lot, I'm sure the tone would be much different. I mean, a 50-foot hole is an easy one to hit.
But I guess you gained property in the front here where you lost.
No, we did, because it still goes off this one where this Larry Ball, off the current right of way. So in essence, we lost 100 feet of property.
So did you order a survey when you purchased the property, when it got transferred to you?
We're getting ready to build, start talking about putting a garage and barn on that, and on the front lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it became apparently obvious that the road shifted.
Well, I don't know that's if it's been there. I don't know. I can't say the road actually physically shifted. I don't know that, but it looks like the road's been there for a long time, and it's a highway by use.
Have you been out there?
You have. I have.
Several times.
I may have. I don't know where I've been there. I've been on Lake Shore Road for about 100 years.
Oh, I can tell you this is not the first map we've seen like that. So highway by use, back in the day, all these were camps and these roads were put in.
Oh, I
And then
understand.
people started developing and turning in houses and the roads never got moved. Or they just weren't put, they were, so when the town took these roads over, wherever that road was, it was. So that's really why you're, looking at this road as is. So I guess my question to you is, what are you looking for? Are you looking to have the road moved?
No, I was hoping to have the right of way shifted accordingly. That way we don't lose the front lot as well. Because right now we've lost over 100 feet of property there, which is substantial in that area of usable land. I mean, the property at this time, the road was supposed to go through here. This was annexed through the town at one time.
Mm-hmm.
It's being used as the town's annex. I mean, it's unusable to us.
We have to look at the abstracts to see the history of how this happened. The subdivision map was filed, and that's what established where Andrews Shore Road is laid out on the subdivision map. Typically, that's how it would be done.
Because at first I questioned this and had to review second to make sure that I was correct.
So your wanting to gain, you want your easement shifted is basically what you're saying,
What's the town, I think you're saying you want the town to acknowledge you have some types of rights to make up for
The loss over
this
there.
little
Correct.
piece
Because
of
this
that.
spot right now, there's a water, what's it, wetland behind it, so there's a 40-foot offset. So now you go out the offset for the road out front now. This back lot, even though it looks large, becomes almost unusable. And the same thing as this, talking to Larry, all the offsets go out the center right away from the town, so
Yeah, that's correct.
by the road shifting by the town, where it was annexed through here, we just lost over 100 feet of usable property.
Well, I think
And the
that
lake,
it's,
it's
the offset should go off the center of the road, not the easement. I mean, that would be, you know, if that's,
That could be an interpretation by Larry.
you know,
Larry could recognize that, but, so the travel track of the road is this line here.
yes.
This is what his deed provides, so this action of having a highway by user, in that sense, created this little gap here of land that's being used by the public, by highway department for town purposes, and it's that little piece there. I don't know what this even looks like out here, is this all grass out here in front of that?
there's a ditch right next to the road. Power lines and utilities from Niagara Mohawk that went off the current right away when they should have, because they followed the road, they could read the drawing. But they're accordingly, so we'd actually have to move utility lines and gas lines as well.
That's not gonna happen.
And even then, the fire hydrants moved off the right of way as well. So it's, like I said, it's almost over 100 feet claimed by the town.
Well, again, the word claim is, I would say this, is that these are what the existing conditions are. That's what people have used, and the town has maintained it over those years, and again, it's been many, many, many years, so if you were to ask to develop part of this, it would depend on the application. If you needed, I don't know if you need any relief, it's too hard to say until you came up with a proposal for what you wanna build on there. Because this is your main lot, right? That's your main lot where your house is, and this is vacant. So depending on the zoning laws of what Larry would say you would need, I don't know if he'd say you need a variance for anything, but we'd have to look at it at that time. And if you did need a variance, actually, when you go to the zoning board of appeals, you could argue, hey, look, this is my situation, and that sometimes adds into their ability to favorably act on the variance. I've seen that before.
Do you have a plan, what you wanna do moving forward?
We were trying to come up with that, but it's a huge dent, so like I said, losing 100 feet of property.
Where are the wetland areas here? Is it on this parcel?
No, it's on the AMP property, that comes out because of the 40-foot offset, goes straight down the line.
So you would have all of this area up to here, minus whatever the measurement is from the center line of the road, on how, whatever that setback is in that ditch. I can't remember off the top of my head, is Larry here?
Those are,
I can't remember what the required setbacks are on the code in this area. This is MR 12, I think.
Correct. But it's,
I can't remember.
most of it is just 27 feet, just say for a fence what have you, based off the middle of the right of way where the road should be, which is dramatically different off from this.
right,
Then you go up the right of way, the other offsets in the building, so we're losing from, basically from this line here to here.
You know, I understand what your hardship would be, so that's something, you know, if and when you come up with a full development plan that can be looked at.
I would say come up with a plan and sketch out what you want on a survey, and then we go from there. I mean, I can't see where we would,
Would the town be open to moving the right of way over to compensate for the current position of the road?
Well, we'll always look at things, but we haven't, you're just
Yeah,
saying this for the first
but
time.
if, but if utilities are through there, it's not gonna be feasible to, if you're asking.
Oh, yeah, if utilities are there,
It's not gonna.
All right.
Some of it, but
That's gonna be
even then, the utilities, Niagara Mohawk here in the town, for some other reason, put them dramatically off. So if they went off the line or off the road, they're still off where they should have been.
If utilities have to be,
Yeah, that's-
crazy.
That I think what we need to do is, we need to work with Andy, it's his highway, and see what other options there are, and see what your plan is. It may not be a big, depending on what size you're trying to put in there, it may fit, I don't know.
When the property was transferred to you, did you folks use an attorney to help do the closing on it?
the property access been in the family for over 80 years.
But when it went into your name, was there an attorney involved? What's that?
There was one attorney, yes, the abstract search went.
I'm wondering who
so-
it is, if that attorney wants to call me, I can talk to your attorney.
Doug Gordon.
Doug Gorman. You certainly can have him give me a call and I can discuss stuff with him, outside of a meeting.
Like I said, it's gonna be easier for you to have something drawn up and say this is adversely affecting me because right now, I don't know how this is adversely affecting me. Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? So if you come up with a plan, I wanna do X, Y, Z, and this is adversely affecting me, well, let's try to figure out how we can make it work for you.
And this, I believe, and Andy can back me up, we've seen a number of these subdivisions where this exact circumstance is happening all around the lake areas especially. In other towns, it happens too, where the travel track of the road becomes the highway by use, which doesn't necessarily match up with a subdivision map filed in the early 1950s, and just things kind of shift and change.
We're not, yeah, I understand, I'm not talking 10 feet in the shade tree sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, those 80 feet encroachment on the neighbor's lot, I think that the tone and canter would be a little bit different. But yeah, I'll write that up for you. So.
Yeah, I mean, come up with a plan that you wanna do, and I can reach out there and, do we have to, well, I'm not saying, there has been at least one situation where we have to do roads on, I mean, depending on what, how it affects you, But I'm trying to understand what you wanna do, and without seeing it, it's hard, so.
Right, I'm good. Will that work for you for now?
I got one of the extras of that. Everybody has an extra one.
You can have both.
I want to make sure Andy keeps one, but.
Yeah. There you go, there's the other. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anything else people wanna bring up?
I've got something for executive session when you're ready.
You do? Okay.
Legal matter to discuss.
If we don't have anything else, then, nope, I had, okay, so I didn't receive a response, so go ahead.
I'm over on Bushnell Shore Road, and with the water project, it's over on the steam going down to the lake going up Bushnell Shore Road. I believe I'm the only house that does not have public water access, because they stopped at the, 31 side of the soccer field, the back side of Chapman Park.
Can you give us your name, please?
Joshua LaFrance.
France, yes, sir.
I just closed on the house in the end of December,
Okay,
and I guess the previous owner opted out of the, water situation, and I talked to, I think, Sean,
Mr. Becker, okay.
and he said that, it would cost the town $60,000 to do it, and then previous before I knew this, I talked to Aqua, and he gave me a price of $33,000.
Perfect.
The 33,000 was coming from Route 31, and
Okay,
the 60,000 would be coming from the Bushnell district.
to add it into the
That
Bushnell
was
district.
including when they were doing the district and when they were there.
And
Okay,
I
Very
would,
good
I
answer.
would like the public water, and I'm not well water right now, and it's, I believe the well is dug too deep, the system that's there is not functioning properly.
okay. Yeah, I'm just getting hit with this, so I don't know which district, which one you'd be put into, or if possible.
Bushnell Shore, the Hamilton Brown Bushnell Shore he's at the tag end of it.
He's at Route 31 end of it,
Oh,
so
okay.
he'd probably be better off going into financial speaking, more solid, and not Bushnell Shore, because Bushnell Shore, you do one, you're gonna do a whole other district now.
Yeah, that would require the board
The
to
60,000
extend one of these districts and then
Yeah.
finance the cost of. a
That's
secret
what I'm trying to
construction,
figure out what the next steps is.
Which
That
could
would
be,
be on top of 60,000 engineer and legal, so,
yeah, and
But
remobilize everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
to put him in the Bushnell Shore district.
But
And-
there's also opportunity for building lots along that section of Bushnell, so if you finished coming up Bushnell, which technically really you should have, to his home,
Mhm.
there's probably 3 or 4 vacant lots that
That aren't, and they are not, and those are not already in the district, those 3 or 4 lots.
no.
So I'm
I
sure
can't
what-
tell you how many lots there are exactly, but there's vacant property that could,
Well, I'm sure when the district was formed, everybody was like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And here we are years later and everybody wants it, so. And now the cost is,
he just bought a home And I know I know the person that rented it before, and the water is horrible.
Horrible.
So it's literally the only person on that whole street that doesn't have water.
Alex, do you have the property?
That's not,
That's
that's not your district.
No, that's not in,
He's happy to say.
good, okay, so that's not part of any of that, okay. I guess what we'll have to do is look into it for
You
you.
can look into it and, but
Yeah.
somebody would have to sort out like what would it cost? Almost like what we just did here, map plan
Right.
report, understand what the expenses could be, the benefits and all that stuff.
You talked to Mr. Becker then? And what did he tell, he couldn't be here today, what did he tell you we could do?
He told me that it would cost $60,000 and it would be not feasible for the town to finance it. And I was better off contacting Aqua and the town and financing the $33,000. And I don't make that kind of money where I can finance it over X amount of years
Okay.
and dish out $33,000.
So when they do these extensions, the 60,000 version, the way this, and some of the stuff we're doing, the way this works is that the town is really just a pass-through to borrow the money on the resident's behalf. So in your case, they're borrowing money on your behalf, maybe some vacant properties, I don't know. Properties along the way could try to object to being included. You wouldn't because you want this, but those 3 vacant ones might, because any monies borrowed is gonna be shouldered by those property owners, and they can finance it out to a certain number of years, and you divide it by that number of years, you add an interest rate into it, and then you get, there's a lot that goes through getting a construction contract out of it. At that time, if this were to happen, then you'd have a bill every year for what the cost to build this, and then the water charges on top of that. So I don't know what those numbers might be, if that's something that is within your budget. It might be thousands of dollars per year, it might be, like these ones we're doing here, are about 1,000 plus, maybe, the ones we just did, a little bit over. But yours might be more or less, we don't know. So they have to be looked at. But so John Becker said, check with Aqua, and the Aqua just wanted all the money up front. They want 30-something thousand, just give us 30-something thousand, we'll get you some water.
So basically, if it does cost the town like the 60,000, then if you guys do it, then I'm gonna be eating all that cost.
Well, like Andy said, it depends on what you design for this extension or whatever it turns out to be. It might be split up amongst 4. It might be just you. It all depends. And the fear would be if it's four properties and 3 that people come out and say we don't have any plans to develop this. We want no part of it. Then the town might not go forward and do it. There's only one person, and it's a $60,000 expense. So that's off the card.
If you got vacant lots, they're only half the unit.
Yeah,
So
you pay
costs
more, yeah, good point.
eventually.
You pay more of
It
your
would be a
share.
limit,
Right.
vacant would be half, so
And there's a
keep
cap,
bearing the brunt of it.
there's a cap right now, we can pass it.
I don't remember if I talked to
And
you.
that's why I never went out.
We wouldn't make it, yes.
Probably not a good candidate for funding either. with a project
Try to
of
get
that size.
funding for one person, very difficult, and then you can't ask the rest of the people
It's
in the
unlikely,
district to
yeah.
bear the cost of one person either, so it's.
Most of these big projects are heavily subsidized, like the ones Alex was doing today, these are heavily subsidized, the tune of roughly 60%. And that helps take the edge off it. The funding agencies don't like small districts or small extensions because they don't think they're getting the bang for their buck. So I think the problem might have been timing, because you just got your property recently, but the district was set up a few years back before you were around. So you probably would have said, yeah, well, I'd love to be included, and maybe that would happen.
Well, the only other option I had is to upgrade the water softener and filtration system. I don't know if that is do anything. And I did a water test, and the iron content was just off the chart. I'm doing a bottle of water, bringing the gallons of water in the building's house, and it guarantees my skin and also doing my appliances. It's either, if I can get the water access, if not, then probably spend $4,000 or $5,000 plus, and I don't know if we have that, it's even do anything.
Right. I don't have any expertise in these private water systems, but we're going to have to talk to one of the companies that does those. See if they know.
And unfortunately, these small extensions get prohibitive. So I wish they'd joined back in the day. back when we came through there the first time, you would have been all set. I don't have a good answer for you. All right, are there any other things that want to be brought up to the board?
They've, started construction on the installation of the fuel tank. So they.
Oh, good, the fuel tank, good,
So they started that, this week, so.
excellent. They say how long it'll take, Andy, to get done?
They get to be done by the end of August, but I don't think it'll be that long, so.
Good.
The plan is to get the pad all poured and let it cure, so. It's a big pad.
I think it's time to get that done, so. All right, if there isn't anything else, we have some advice of counsel, so I entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Dan Gibbons, second by Dave Montroy.
We're gonna invite Andy in.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?